Hey, fans, I'm Thomas Mott. Welcome to Philadelphia Eagles Now here on a Monday, which is a disappointing Monday. I mean, goodness gracious. Oh, man, we talked about how you just can't lose to a bad Giants team, and what did they go do? They went and they lost to a bad Giants team. It was a bad football game overall, and we have a lot to break down in terms of exactly what is going on with the Philadelphia Eagles and what happened in that 13-7 loss to the New York Football Giants. Now, the immediate takeaway is obvious. The offense was very disappointing. Jalen Hurts had one of his worst days at quarterback. They ran the football well at times, but throwing the football seemed to be nearly impossible, and the Giants had multiple injuries in the secondary. Defense played well until you needed them to get a stop late in the game. They were unable to get one, and then the final drive, obviously Jalen Reagor. We're going to talk about Jalen Reagor on this show because Jalen Reagor is a bust. I'm officially done with him. I'm over it, and it is extremely frustrating. Now, we'll talk more about the playoff spot here in just one second, but I do want to mention that this loss doesn't ruin everything. Like, I'm very frustrated today, and this definitely hurt. Like, your playoff chances nearly were cut in half, according to ESPN and Pro Football Talk and all the little metric systems that they use, but this doesn't ruin everything. Like, they can still win out and can still win 4 of the next 5 and beat Dallas in Week 17 and go to the postseason. Like, it's a possibility, but losing a game like this to a bad football team does not help at all in terms of your actual quest, and I think, again, circles back to all the issues that were happening at the beginning of the season. I thought we were past all this sort of stuff with bad penalties, a ton of penalties that callback touchdowns, with drop passes, with poor quarterback play, and the list goes on, and yet here we actually are. I'll start with this pinned comment, because I'm very frustrated today. How mad did this game make you? Like, on a scale from 1 to 10, like how mad did this game make you overall? I was at probably a 9 or a 10, and I'm curious what you guys think. Go down below during this ad break, pinned comment, answer right now. I jump into my takeaways, and we'll start with the first one, the obvious one, and that is that it's time to bench Jalen Reagor. And I put a question mark there because I'm asking you guys, is it time to bench Jalen Reagor? My answer is yes and no. Like, there are two thought processes here, right? The first thought process is, well, who do you bench him for? We'll look at the depth chart in just a couple of minutes, but the stats tell you that Reagor is not producing hardly at all. I mean, 45 targets, 25 catches, nearly half of his targets he's not catching, 201 yards and 2 touchdowns. Like, that's just not going to work. It's not going to work for him being what is truly the number 2 wide receiver on this roster. I mean, Quez Watkins is playing more than him according to the stat numbers and according to the snap count, but still, Reagor is in there way too much, and he's just not producing. Like, here's the deal. Jalen Reagor is officially a bust. Like, he officially is a bust. We've seen this story literally before because we saw it with J.J. Arcega-Whiteside, who did nothing his rookie year. We had high expectation his second year, and then now in his third year, Whiteside is essentially out there to be a blocking wide receiver during screen passes. Like, that's basically it. Reagor's going down the exact same train right now. He needs a complete change of scenery. Like, they must trade him this offseason and let him go free. I mean, you saw what Nelson Aguilar was able to do going over to the Raiders for a year. He had a nice, decent year. You saw what he was able to do with the Patriots. He's having a decent year. That's what Reagor needs. It's not necessarily that Reagor is a trash player. It's that he's just not going to work in Philadelphia. I think mentally, in terms of his mental toughosity, as they say, or his mental, I would say, strength, being in Philadelphia is not the best place for him. It's not calling him out. It's just saying some players perform well under the pressure of Philadelphia and some don't. And Reagor clearly does not. You follow him on Twitter. He seems to be pretty upset with people calling him out and saying that he's not playing well. I mean, that's all well documented. He's a bust. It's official. But the problem is, what do you do? Because can you just bench him and just not play him? Well, look at the depth chart. No, the answer is no, because Greg Ward has done nothing this year. And now maybe you can make the argument that you need to give Greg Ward more snaps, but we've seen Greg Ward in limited times this year, and he's not making the most of the limited snaps he's had. He had a drop touchdown on a sprint right option on 2nd down and goal or whatever it was there in the red zone. So there isn't an easy solution to this, and I think the answer is that Reagor is going to continue to be in the starting lineup and continue to get snaps, but you've got to develop game plans that are skewed more against getting the football in Reagor's hands and more towards getting the football to Devontae Smith and Dallas Goedert. Now, they did say that the final 2 plays where they were throwing to Reagor were not designed for Reagor, so it's not like they were trying to get the ball to Reagor's hands, but you've got to figure out a way to force Jalen Hurts to throw the football more to Devontae Smith than Reagor, because he has been an absolute nightmare and truly cost us the football game on Sunday. Drop a like if you guys agree that Jalen Reagor should be benched. You think he should be? Give this video a thumbs up down below right now. All right, just because Jalen Reagor dropped 2 passes does not excuse the fact that Jalen Hurts played his worst game of the year. I mean, we've seen some bad games from Jalen Hurts. This was by far the worst. I mean, the decision-making was horrific, and it really makes you kind of scratch your head and wonder why. Like why did he struggle so much? I don't know if he was just locked in on his first looks too often. He's trying to force the ball down the football field. If he was just not comfortable back there, I don't know. But 11 for 31 is never going to work with Jalen Hurts, and the 3 interceptions were all terrible. I mean, the one inside the red zone at the end of the half was just one of the worst plays you can make as a quarterback. You have 3 points secured, and it's not like he was trying to force it to a semi-open receiver. He threw it to nobody. He threw it right to the Giant defender. I mean, this is just, it was bad. It was very, 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 very bad. It wasn't like the Eagles weren't running the football well. I think that you got to call a little bit better of a game. We'll talk about that. But they still rushed for over 150 yards. He just didn't make the plays when he needed to. Now, the Reagor drops have a massive impact, and you could make those plays. You might have a win. We talked about different things happening today. But I mean, the 3 interceptions, the deep ball, obviously the one that was picked off in the red zone, all of this was very poor by Hurts, and he deserves to get a very, very, very low grade. I mean, my grade for him was probably an F yesterday, and I'm curious what your guys' grade for him was versus the Giants. A, B, C, D, or F? I'm going F. I want your thoughts down below right now. Okay, we must at least acknowledge the bright spot of yesterday, and that was the fact that the defense played well enough to win. 13 points. I mean, that's it. Like, literally, they held the defense to 13 points. That is as good as you could possibly hope for. They did give up that final field goal on that basically last drive for the Giants. You need to kind of hold them to, not getting a field goal there. But overall, they played very, very well. The problem that we have right now is that the pass rush is still not really doing anything. Like, Daniel Jones' offensive line is nothing to write home about. He should have been hit a bunch of times, and yet, except for a couple of decent pressures by Josh Sweat, no one else is getting pressure. I mean, Javon Hargrave has basically disappeared. And even though he's getting a lot of double teams, he's not getting double teamed every single play. He had went from being a 6-sack guy the first 5 games of the year, whatever the number was, to eventually being hardly mentioned. He had one play in the backfield yesterday, and I went, oh yeah, Javon Hargrave plays for this team. Like, overall, this defensive line has got to be better, even though overall the defense has been playing good enough to win football games. Like, 13 points against the Giants, the Eagles should have easily been able to score 24 plus. The fact they only scored 7, like we talked about, is a problem with Jalen Hurts, problem with the offense, we talked about that, but the defense played well enough to win. But goodness gracious, you have got to be able to get a little bit more pressure, and we've not seen that at all against bad football teams, and then we'll see what happens against the Jets coming up here next week. Quickly here, it is Cyber Monday, and there are a ton of crazy good deals right now happening with our friends at Fanatics. You see the link on your screen right now. You go to fanatics.com, link down below in the description box. That promo code is Monday, gets you 20% off. That's our gift to you. Monday is your promo code, 20% off all of the great products you obviously see on your screen. Hats, shirts, t-shirts, the combination of both. Get the right gift for your loved one coming up this coming Christmas by using the promo code Monday as the Cyber Monday deals are off and running and going crazy right now. All right, next thing here, we must at least acknowledge that Nick Sirianni had some suspect play calling. There were a couple of drives there where they would just not choose to run the football, and the annoying thing is that they ran the football really well. Like, just keep running the football. Like, they got to a point where it's like, quit making Jalen Hurts throw and just run the darn football. The also thing that's very infuriating is the amount of targets that different players are getting from an offensive perspective. Reagor should never have the most targets. I mean, we've talked about this. He should not have the most targets. Devontae Smith needs 10 targets a game. You've got to find a way to either scheme it properly or force Jalen Hurts to throw his way. Like, it's one of the two things. Dallas Goedert had 3 targets, 1 catch for 0 yards. It's insanity. And again, we saw some of the red zone plays, even though the sprint right option that should have worked. From the football to whoever it was, 84. I'm blanking on his name right now. I mentioned him earlier, but you get my point. They should have hit on that play. That should have been a touchdown, but still, Goddard deserves a lot more touches, and Sirianni kind of got back to his old ways, and it was really frustrating to watch. Who gets the blame for the Eagles' loss? Is it Sirianni? Is it Hurts? Is it Reagor? Is it somebody else? Is it probably Howie Roseman for drafting Jalen Reagor? Give me your thoughts on who gets the blame for the Eagles' loss down below in the comments section. All right, we'll wrap it up by mentioning, of course, there's no room for more losses now. Like, you really cannot afford to lose a lot more games because as it currently stands, the 49ers won yesterday, and the Vikings, even though they lost, are still 1 game up right now in the loss column. Falcons won yesterday, and the Saints, of course, lost, so you're still very much alive for that 6th seed, 7th seed, whatever it is, but you just can't afford to keep losing, especially against bad football teams, right? You have the Jets coming up next week. You can't lose to the Jets. Like, you lose to the Jets, it's over. Seriously, like, it's officially over. I'm not going to buy into this team anymore. You beat the Jets, you're still alive. You got to go beat Washington, the Giants, Washington, Dallas. 4 straight divisional games. You maybe could lose one of those divisional games, but if you want to have any chance of winning the division, which is very unlikely now, you've got to at least win out. So you have 5 weeks, including a bye, to potentially still make a run here and, make the postseason or not. But this doesn't help. And if they would have won, they would have been sitting there right up at the 7th seed, right there close to the 6th seed, and a chance to really kind of climb, and the loss is going to set them back big time. They've got to win against the Jets. All right, we'll end on this. Like the video if you guys think the Eagles will still make the postseason. I'm iffy on this. I think they have a chance, but they could not lose next week. We'll find out. Give this video a thumbs up right now. And, of course, make sure you guys are subscribed to Philadelphia Eagles Now as we approach 22,000 subs here on this channel, trying to get you guys the latest and greatest Eagles news and rumors for the entire week as we continue into December and, of course, much more further beyond that. Frustrated today. Hope you guys can tell. I'm frustrated. You guys probably are too. Again, ultimate every day on our Philadelphia Eagles Now reaction video. I'm Thomas Mott signing off for the rest of your day.